Quick question for you. How do you really know when it's time to leave your job and go full time with your side hustle or your business idea? Here's a spoiler alert. It's not when you feel ready, it's when your numbers prove you're ready. Here's a short story. I have a friend, his name is Rush. He started a physical therapy business just last month, Spirit Athletics Physical Therapy. Shout out to my friend Rush, right? He's been a physical therapist for over a year, actually almost I think 2 years. And he's been working and he had a full-time job working for physical therapy, managing clients, doing the whole thing. He has a family, he has kids. And before he started his business, he had to really think about, is this something that he can fiscally be responsible for? And before, so he worked for a long time to build up his financial security and really review his numbers before he launched his business. If you want to be like Rush, in this video, we're going to be talking about when to decide when is it ready to go from side hustle to full time and really understanding financially the numbers with that. So I'm Dr. Bryan Raya. I'm with DBR Bookkeeping, doing business right. I have an online community where we have talked about these discussions. This is a Q&A that I have. I do presentations. I have a YouTube channel, and I work with clients all the time who have small businesses, whether it may be a side hustle or that is their full-time business. And I'm super excited to help people understand and be financially successful with their businesses so that they can hit their financial dreams, their goals in the right way and try to reduce the stress because trust me, entrepreneurship and small business is hard. It really is. It is a long grind, but it can be one of the most fulfilling things you do in your life. And I want to reduce that stress, maximize your profits, and be successful. So let's get into it. So the first thing is we want to talk about feeling ready versus being financially ready. There's an emotional difference, right? Emotional, intellectual difference. You might emotionally and feel that I am ready, I'm excited, I'm pumped up, I got a great plan with my marketing and my sales. I know some people who are going to help me with my business. Let's do this, right? That's all in your mind. But we want to actually look at your financial readiness. Are you financially ready? And we're going to discuss more into, well, how do you know you are financially ready? And that's why in your side hustle right now, you should be doing bookkeeping. Even if you're just making a few $100s a month with your side hustle, you really need to look at your bookkeeping because you want your side hustle to even make a little bit of money to get clarity. So we want to make sure that you're tracking your revenue, you're tracking your expenses, and you actually understand your profits. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. So a quick little stat. Did you know that 50% of businesses actually fail? They actually go under or they sell or they don't go bankrupt or whatever it may be in the first 5 years of the business. Half of businesses don't even make it to 5 years due to cash flow issues. Spending too much, but they're not bringing enough in. They're not tracking their invoices. There's so many issues out there that come to cash flow. And I could do a whole nother presentation on that. But again, we want to make sure that you are financially stable, that you have good cash flow, that you're actually bringing in money profitably for your business. So next, I have four key metrics we want to track for your business. First, is your revenue trends. Second is your monthly expenses. Next is your business profitability. And then last is your emergency and tax savings. So let's get into it. First, your revenue trends. You need to be actually looking and asking the question, are you making consistent income for your business, your side hustle for at least 3 to 6 months? Top line revenue. If your goal is to make $4,000 a month, are you hitting that on a regular basis? I think some entrepreneurs, they go, well, I made $6,000 in this one month, but then I only made $2,000 on this other month, and this other month I made $3,000. Well, if your goal is $5,000, then you're not really there. Yes, you had one good month, good for you, but then what about the actual trends? And again, every industry is a little bit different depending whether you have consistent clients, whether you're selling products, whatever it may be. You want to have some type of consistency before that in your revenue. So next, you actually want to look at your monthly expenses, and this is a really big one. If you're going to go full time with your business and be a entrepreneur, right? You can't just look at your business profitability. You actually have to look at your life. How much does your life actually cost per month? Your rent, your utilities, your debt, your subscriptions, your groceries, your medical bills, all your stuff that you're spending in your life. You want to create a freedom number. This is the bare minimum you need to survive, right, for your life, not for your business, but for your life. And with that number, this is the number you want to compare and have because this is going to help determine whether it's time to go full time or not. So if your life, you go, well, after all of my expenses, right, with my life, I need $5,000. That is your freedom number. Now, if you are married or have a partner or something like that, and maybe they have some other income, again, you want to calculate that into those numbers as well. But again, you want to create, your freedom number. If you were not to work in your job and you were to have another business, and what would your expenses be for everything? Now we actually want to look at business and business profitability. And the first thing actually I want you to look and consider at is, are you pricing for profit or just revenue? The basics of what profit is your revenue minus expenses equals profit, right? But you want to be pricing for as high as profit as possible. A lot of businesses do not price high enough because they're not really considering all the expenses that go into it. Their marketing, their subscriptions, their home office expenses, their mileage to drive everywhere, right? All those things start adding up. And when they start breaking it, oh, I charge $50, but oh gosh, I it cost me $49 to do this thing. I'm only making $1. Is that really a good, strong profit margin? Probably not, unless you're doing millions of that. Yes, then $1 per thing is millions of dollars. Unless you're there, then we really want to be pricing for profit. So what that means is that maybe you need to, instead of charging $50, maybe you need to be charging $70 so that you're creating $21 in profit. And that will give you the cash flow and the revenue to really not just cover all your expenses, but to actually have money to put for taxes, to set aside, and to reinvest into the business to improve things. Once you know what that, we talked about your overall revenue and profit, actually look at that. Does that compare that to your freedom number? Can your profit, right, your bottom line, cover all your personal needs? And is there money still left to reinvest? Like those are the questions you really want to analyze and look at. And lastly, is emergency and tax savings. Do you have 3 to 6 months of savings, or at least a cushion of some sort, that you can cover your expenses? So let me break this down. If it costs you in your number $4,000 to $5,000, say on low end, your bare minimum is $4,000. You think, all right, I can do the bare minimum, and we're talking super low, like you know what your rent is, but your utilities, your super low food costs, maybe bare minimum in entertainment. We're talking bare minimum $4,000, right? If that's your number, right? Let's multiply that by three. Do you have $12,000, 12 to $15,000 in there that you have a cushion that you can work with? If you want 6 months, 4,000 times six, now we're looking at $24,000, right? That should give you a nice cushion for 6 months. Again, those are the things you want to have. If you have that, then you're like, okay, yeah, I can go to full time, I can make my side hustle be the main gig and go there. So again, we want to have that savings or cushion. And next is, are you actually saving money for taxes right now? If you started your business less than 12 months ago, or in this current fiscal year, are you actually saving money for taxes? Are you putting 25 to 30% totally set aside for taxes that you are not touching? And if you're not doing that, you want to get into that habit immediately. You want to have these cushions. You want to have your emergency and tax savings. Once you've analyzed your revenue trends, your monthly expenses, your business profitability, again, checking for pricing and checking, comparing your profit against your freedom number. And lastly, do you have an emergency and tax savings? Right? Then you know that we are in a good situation. I'm going to give you my personal story. When I started my business, I was actually working. I had a job, but I started my business. I did a lot of the initial stuff while working, setting up my business, setting up my bank accounts, setting up all my my website, setting up my social media. I started networking, and I started doing all those things within those first 6 months because I really wasn't making a lot of money with my bookkeeping business. I was still working to get clients. I was still posting content and all those things. And so I had some time to do that because I didn't have a lot of clients yet. So I was still working with my job and I was still making money there, but I did all of that for almost a year, right? I started my business in October and I didn't actually go full time with my business until Labor Day of the following year. So it was almost 10 months that I did this. And but right before I did that though, I was looking at my numbers. I had started getting some clients. I was looking at my stuff. I also got into some money where I was able to like got about 20 to 25 grand. I was able to pay off some debt. So a lot of my personal expenses went hugely down. Is that a word, hugely? Well, for today, it is hugely down. Went down a lot. I was like, okay. So I did a kind of like a whole revamp, looked at my numbers, looked at my revenue, looked at my expenses, but really I looked at my cushion and I was like, okay, I think I could do this. And so when I did that, I was able to go leave my job and then really focus on what's my bookkeeping business. And again, it was exciting because I was like, all right, now I can really focus full time as an entrepreneur and really put into more time into my clients, but more time into making sales and finding more clients. And I gave myself a cushion because I knew it was going to take another 6 months to find more clients to get into that good situation. And so if I would have done that month three or month four into my business, it would have been really disastrous. It would have created a lot more stress for me. And I'm super thankful that I waited for 10 months with my side hustle before I started really going full time with DBR bookkeeping. And here I am 2 years later, and it's much, you know, thriving and we're growing, and it's been super exciting. Here's our action plan. If you are serious about going full time, here's what you need to do this week. Number one is to track your income and expenses. If you do not know what your income and expenses are for your side hustle, you need to make that a number one priority this week. If that means creating a spreadsheet, going into your bank statements and finding your transactions. And again, we want to find all your transactions for your business, right? And really do look at your also your personal life and how much, again, finding that freedom number. We want to know that. You use it in a spreadsheet. If you're not using QuickBooks Online and might be considering to get on QuickBooks Online, even if it's not a lot of revenue right now, if you're thinking long term and growth and going full time, you are going to use it. So it's better to set your QuickBooks up, all those things, because it does take time, it does take energy. You want to make sure you do it right while you still have an actual full-time job and you have income and you're not trying to do all those things. So again, we want to track all your income and revenue and expenses now. Next is again, we want to go back to that freedom number. What is your freedom number to cover your life? Not just your business expenses, but everything for you. What do you need to actually be sustainable for the long term? Next is that I want you to check your last 3 months of your profit margin, right? We're looking at bottom line number, right? What is your profit? Which really should be, much higher line. We want to make profit be first, right? We want to look at that. Again, lower your expenses. Are there any ways you can lower your expenses? But look at your trends of the last 3 months. Are you actually making profit? If you are, great. Then, but you don't have any type of cushion, then maybe wait a few more months and actually build a 3 to 6 month cushion for you personally and your business. Right? Super helpful. In my community, we actually talk about these things. I actually have resources to help you track your expenses and how to break down a lot of these things. And you actually even consult with me to talk about and help you break down your numbers, look at your QuickBooks Online account, and help you decipher what your profit margins are. If you are feeling stuck with any of this and you're trying to figure out when to go full time, let's walk through the numbers together. Again, you can join the community. DBR Bookkeeping online community, or you can just schedule a consultation. I do free 30-minute consultations, and I love to talk about business and just see where you're at. And you can bring in some of your numbers. You can just kind of talk about it. You can talk about some of your goals. I am totally happy to do that because, again, I want to make sure you are successful for the long term. And again, if you're part of the community with the DBR Booking online community, again, feel free to ask questions, communicate, reach out to me, use your resources. Let me know what we can build in the community so that we can have a lot of fun and make sure that entrepreneurship is for everybody who wants to do it and not just be a side hustle for some people. Again, this training was to determine if you want to go from a side hustle to full time. If you are happy with your side hustle, if you're happy with just doing a few things on the side, that is totally okay too. You can still do bookkeeping, you can still track your profitability, but if it's only really bringing in maybe 500 to $1,000 a month, again, it's not really enough money to go full time with, and maybe don't have the time to really scale, and maybe it's just a passion project, that is okay too. But make sure you are doing bookkeeping because, again, it's really easy for those numbers to only become just a couple $100s a month to coming a few $1,000s a month to when it comes time tax time, you're like, oh goodness, I made $20,000 in my side hustle. You need to report that. But again, if you've been tracking your expenses, that's a business and you can lower that tax liability really down. So again, there's a whole bunch of strategies with that, but it's very common for side hustles to become full-time gigs. And we want to make sure that you're doing it properly and you're doing it right. I want to end. Thank you so much for watching this. I do have a YouTube channel. Please check that out and subscribe. Watch some videos, comment. Let me know what type of content you'd like to see in small business financial management, what type of behaviors, actions, time management strategies, all types of things that we can do to be successful. Again, I'm Dr. Bryan Raya, DBR Bookkeeping, doing business right. I'll see you next time.